United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Hi.
I immediately needed to cough.
Okay. Hey, what's up? My name's Noelle, and if you want to know why we basically took another month off, you can listen to Patreon, dollar gets you in. But we do have good and exciting news, and it's partially a reason why we've been MIA, because our brains have been turned to mush about it, but it's all going to be good. We are actually, will you pull up the Idaho one?
Yes.
Since that's happening. Well, yeah, we'll do that. We are going to be in Idaho for that convention.
Magic Valley Comic-Con.
Magic Valley Comic-Con.
September 13th through 14th in Twin Falls County Fairgrounds.
Perfect. And we'll release that schedule shortly, probably next week. But this week we have...
They're finalizing the Magic Valley one by Tuesday, but we definitely have panels there.
Yeah. And, okay.
I don't know why you made me pull that up.
Sorry. Well, for the date and the fucking place. Okay. But for those of you who are in Utah, we will be at FanX. For me, Thursday, September 25th. At 6 p.m., I have From Creepy Crypts to Late Night Laughs, the history of the TV horror host in room 255E. Chelsea's on that with me. I'm going to be moderating it. Friend of the podcast, Ichabod, is going to be on it. And I'm also going to be dressed as Elvira. I'm getting my makeup professionally done by friend of the podcast, Lauren. Shout out. Super excited for that. If I was going to do one thing, I had to go all out with that. So
yeah.
And then at 7 p.m., we're doing queer horror, monsters, metaphors, and main characters in room 255D. Chelsea will be on that as well.
Yeah, and for the Creepy Crypts one, I'm also going to be cosplaying Crypt Keeper. I'm going to not be doing my makeup, and I will be spitting image.
Okay. I think you should do like Svengoolie or something, honestly. Friday, September 26th at 5 p.m., I have The Unsexiest Vampires, aka Rat Boy Summer, Salem's Lot, Midnight Mass, Morbius, Count Orlok, room 255A. Mark Middlemass, friend of the podcast, is moderating that one. Super excited for that. And then Saturday, September 27th, 4 p.m. Why is A24 so much better? In room 255D. I'm going to be a panelist on that, so I'm excited to talk about A24. 5 p.m. Women in Horror, Scream Queens, Final Girls, and Fearless Creators in room 255D. Chelsea's on that with me as well. I'm going to be moderating it, and I'm finishing the convention with probably the most important panel, in my humble opinion, at 7 p.m. I'm going to be a panelist on From Eraserhead to Twin Peaks and Beyond, The Art of David Lynch in room 255C. So come check that out. What was the promo code again? It was like return.
Use return to get 20% off.
Yeah, 20%
It's the best one. Don't use anything else you see unless it's better than 20%.
Yeah, and I think like the day passes are, if you're just going to do Thursday, it's worth just getting a Thursday pass. But if you plan on being there for more than one day, do the 3-day and use the promo code to get money off of it. So, Chelsea, what are you doing?
All right. So on Thursday,
wait, who are you?
I'm Chelsea.
Thank you.
On Thursday, September 25th, I'm doing Wrestling Imitates Life, the fascinating intersection of wrestling and reality. That's in room 150D. D is in dog. And then I have the history of the horror host with Noelle. And then I have monsters, metaphors, main characters with Noelle. On Friday, September 26th, I am moderating Creating a Lasting Legacy in the Comic Book Industry. That is with actual industry professionals, Amanda Connor, Colleen Duran, and Jimmy Palmiotti. All of these people work on Marvel, DC, independent circuits.
Wow.
If you want to learn something more, go to that one. The next one at 3 p.m., I am moderating No More Mutants, House of M, and the Age of Reality Bending Storytelling. At 5 p.m., I have Gimmicks Gone Wild, the best and worst characters in wrestling history. And then at 8 p.m., I am moderating Something is Killing the Tropes, the indie horror boom in comics. And that one is with friends of the podcast, Luke Hunsaker and Andrew Malin from the Nerd Dome podcast.
Fantastic.
And Doug Wagner, who is also an industry professional. I actually have a couple of his graphic novels behind me. He has done plush, he's done plastic, which are amazing. He's a horror comic dude. Super awesome guy.
Yeah, I'm excited that I'm going to be able to make that panel because that's going to be very cool.
And then for Saturday, September 27th, I have The Grandest Stage Turns 40, WrestleMania's Greatest Hits. I am moderating that one. And then at 1 p.m., this one I think I'm personally the most excited for. It is Mega City 101, Judge Dredd for Beginners. That is with friends of the podcast, Mark Middlemas and Andrew Malin. That one I'm just excited for because similar to horror being brought back to FanX, we have been trying to get a Judge Dredd panel in there for years. Then at 4 p.m., I am moderating 60 Years of Daredevil Comics, The Man Without Fear. And then at 5 p.m., I have my Scream Queens Women in Horror panel with Noelle. At 6 p.m., I have The Politics of Superman, From Fighting Nazis and the KKK to the Hope of Tomorrow. And to close out FanX for myself, I am your 45 Years of the Empire Strikes Back.
Fantastic.
Very excited for that one too.
Crazy lineup.
Yeah, I have just finished a book about the making of Empire Strikes Back from the publicist for the movie. He kept a diary from beginning to end of the entire production. Finished that. And then for our horror panels with Noelle, I think I've read maybe easily 100 essays about women in horror and queer horror. I actually have one that we can talk about for David Lynch after the episode with Eraserhead.
Ooh, so fantastic. I rewatched The Art Life with David Lynch, and I'm reading his autobiography, Reeling in the Big Fish. And I'm, of course, after he passed, a lot of people came out and did like breakdowns of Lynchian film and what it means to them. And I'm just like so juiced up on David Lynch. And I literally cried for like I think 2 days when David Lynch died. And just the community of people who love David Lynch and love like what he did for art and media and TV. It's so vast. It reminds me of The Unholy Mountain by Alejandro Jodorowsky. Like, I don't think a lot of people have seen it, and it's very obscure and crazy and like the avant-garde, but it has so many effects in TV, movie, fashion, and music that you don't even understand. Like its hands are all knowing and you don't even realize it. And I think that David Lynch actually had a lot to do with like the golden age of TV that people don't realize. Like, I'll spoil a little bit of what I'm going to talk about on the panel here, but like if you love True Detective, if you loved Fargo, if you loved Severance, you can, and even if you loved Lost back in the day, you can thank David Lynch for that 1,000%, because he changed TV from being episodic individual episodes like The X-Files, peace and love to them, to basically a full narrative. So that was not happening until Twin Peaks. So shout out David Lynch. Yeah, anyway, it's overwhelming to prep for panels. Obviously we know about all of these topics, which is why we pick them, but you want to be the sharpest sword in the bunch, which is why we do this, which is why we dig in further and read and consume as much literature and information as possible. So it does mean that some things take a back seat, unfortunately. But it's going to be super fun. And we're really excited and thankful and hope that everyone who can come out. Like Chelsea said with the Judge Dredd panel, I have been campaigning to get more horror represented in FanX for God, since 2015, 2016, since its fucking start in Salt Lake. And it has been an uphill battle. I am happy and proud to say that this year's panel lineup is stacked. And I'm very thankful and I feel very privileged to be a part of it. So
yeah, I'm
out.
Super excited, overwhelmed, with how many panels I got,
Yeah.
but it's just talking about shit that I love. So I think the overwhelming part is just wanting to live up to the content we will be speaking about. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to I never want to be that person on a panel who just says what they like and just share opinions. I want to be coming in with facts and stuff. I want to turn people into fans and change people's minds on something, or at least teach them something new. And I know that you're the same way. So to have more where we can represent that brand, I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but the payoff is well worth it. So, and we will be recording them as we do every year. So even if you can't make it because you're not in the state or you don't have the finances to do so, you can listen to them when we after the convention we upload them. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about an episode that I've actually been writing for 2 weeks. And it's unfortunate because it also took me on like a side quest of learning information because I thought this would be okay. I wanted to talk about women in the circus and how it was like liberation, but it actually is not. And it's horrible.
It's never a mannequin, and women never benefit.
Yeah. So, and actually no one benefits. So it took me down a different road, and we barely talk about women in the circus at all because I had to talk about the circus in general. So let's get it started. The word circus comes from the Latin circus, meaning circle or ring. In ancient Rome, circuses weren't what we'd think of today. No clowns, no trapeze artists flying overhead, but they were massive public arenas where the whole city could gather for a show. The Circus Maximus could hold over 150,000 people for chariot races, gladiator contests, and animal hunts. They set the precedent, entertainment on a grand scale, something that pulled people out of everyday life and into a world of danger and drama. But Rome wasn't the only place with circus DNA. Across the world, ancient performers were laying the groundwork. In China, there were acrobats, in Egypt, jugglers, in Greece, theater entertainers. All of this flowed in pieces into what we would eventually call the circus. The version we recognize today doesn't show up until the late 18th century with Philip Astley, an English horse trainer who was known to be a show-off. In the 1770s, he was collecting dollars in London by performing equestrian tricks to crowds who'd gathered. Riding schools and horse shows were already popular, but Astley had the idea to do it bigger and better. What if we mixed in other crowd pleasers? So he added acrobats, clowns, music, and jugglers. Now, instead of one act, you had a whole experience. It was like taking everyone's favorite parts of public entertainment and putting them under one roof like a Costco. The soon-to-be notorious circus ring was about 42 feet across because Astley discovered riders could balance better on a circular track. That measurement is still the standard for circus rings today. And just like that, the circus went viral before viral was even a thing. Astley's idea was copied across Europe, France, Italy, and beyond, spawning imitators who turned his single show into a whole industry. America, of course, wanted in. The first documented circus performance in the US was in Philadelphia in 1793, staged by a Scottish equestrian named John Bill Ricketts. Do you keep looking them up?
I just want to see what they look like.
What does John Bill Ricketts look like?
He looks like he signed the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
A bit of a dandy, if I may say so myself.
Okay.
He's got the pantaloons with a fabulous ponytail, tiny little feet with cute shoes, and I'm gonna send you a picture because he looks
What?
he looks like a little British boy who would tattletale on you and
Okay.
then get your servant whipped
Yeah.
as a stand-in for his own punishment. That's what he looks like. And that's also what Philip Astley looked like, but he was a little bit older, but also kind of a dandy. And I don't mean dandy in like a derogatory way. A dandy is the definition of a dandy.
I agree with you. And you're also probably not off with the he's going to tattle on someone and get people whipped and hurt. So Um, Ricketts, John Bill Ricketts, he trained under Astley and built a wooden amphitheater, mixed horse stunts with acrobats and clowns, and drew in huge crowds. George Washington was even rumored to have attended one of his shows. After Ricketts, permanent circuses popped up in big
Wait,
cities.
George Washington attended because he wanted to make sure these little wigged children running around weren't his. They really look like they signed the Declaration of Independence. They have the wigs and the face, and they look like little George Washington.
Yeah, that's
like Tweedledee and Tweedledums. Yeah.
Yeah, he was making
like,
sure
Papa?
he didn't have to fucking pay child support. So.
Yeah, they're like, Papa! And then they backflip out of the ring.
Onto a horse.
I just think of them as like Harley Quinn's like little assistants. We're like,
oh, for sure.
like
and
bouncing
like,
around.
They're in Philadelphia, so like they've got insane accents and they're probably Italian.
They're screaming, "Go Birds!"
Yeah,
all up and down the street.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're climbing the greased light poles. You know, it's a tradition that goes back to 1793.
They're just giggling.
And I know there's some other details in here which we don't need to like get into, but know that like a bunch of these fucking places burn the fuck down. And I think like John Bill Ricketts had like 2 arenas that just burned to the fucking ground. And
also had really weak knees.
Yeah.
Get it? Because Ricketts.
Ricketts, because Ricketts.
That was, you know, I feared rickets as a child because every time I didn't eat my vegetables, my parents were like, "You're gonna get rickets."
Really?
Yeah. So
you feared it like on the same level as quicksand?
More than quicksand. This was my primary fear.
Wow.
Rickets.
I never knew that rickets were from not eating vegetables.
Well, I think like sailors got it. It's like a vitamin C deficiency. But it gave you weak bones.
It's vitamin D. Vitamin C is scurvy. Get your pirate diseases right, okay?
You know what? I think that when I Googled rickets, the AI overview said that rickets was caused by vitamin D. What I should have done is scroll past that down. Did I say vitamin C?
Yeah, you said vitamin C.
I'm just thinking of graduation now. I need to go to bed.
Oh my God.
Talk about COVID, brain.
Give this
Patreon exclusive.
A lobotomy. God, I can't even talk.
A labrotomy.
A labrotomy. It's where LeBron James comes and performs it.
Stupid.
No, that's fucking good, dude. I just envisioned that LeBron James giving a lobotomy. Anyway,
he throws the basketball and it hits the thing and it goes into your nose. And there's a tiny little basketball hoop on the pick that goes into the brain.
This is actually a real medical procedure. But
yeah.
Anyway, so Ricketts and his fucking shoddy knees built a bunch of wooden amphitheaters and they burned the fuck down. And he literally said, "Enough, I'm done." But before that, George Washington was rumored to have been in attendance of one of his shows. After Ricketts, permanent circuses popped up in big cities like New York and Baltimore, borrowing Europe's theater style setup. But as you guys know, America was not Europe. It was bigger, more rural, and full of people spread out in small towns. What?
You know it.
Oh, yeah.
Bigger means better.
You know, it's why people in Europe are so well traveled, because it takes a 30-minute train ride to go through 4 countries, where for us, it'll take you an hour to get to the middle of the state.
A cultural difference that always blows my mind is when Europeans won't see family members or whatever or friends because they live too far away, but it's like literally just a 30-minute drive.
Yep.
And that culturally to them is insane.
Yeah.
Like 30-minute drive. That's just how long it takes me to get to like the Starbucks location that I can turn right out of.
No, literally.
Instead of left across traffic.
You would think that they're still riding horse and buggies by the way that they're like so turned off by a 30-minute drive.
Also, when they're like, "Oh, it's 80 degrees outside, I'm dying." Like,
do they mean 80 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah. I don't use Celsius. I don't even know.
They do, I think.
They definitely do. What is 80? We're so dumb for this. 80 degrees Fahrenheit and Celsius.
How am I supposed to know what Celsius is? They never taught me
It's
that.
26 degrees Celsius. And they'll be like, oh, it's 26 degrees outside. And then you look it up and it's like 80 degrees. And you're like,
Well, yeah, it's because they don't have air conditioning, and the earth is heating up, so they're finally feeling heat in a way that's going to kill them. That's the only thing America has on Europe, and I'll stick by that, air conditioning and ice. But anyway, by the 1820s, American performers had figured out the solution to these small, rural, spread out towns. Tents. The big top. What?
wow.
You like that? Is
I didn't read ahead. So I was like,
it's a fucking epiphany for them. They said a
Yeah.
tent, motherfucker. Big tops, more specifically.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
changed everything. Now circuses weren't tied to theaters in big cities where they could fucking burn down. They could travel anywhere from dusty frontier towns to remote farming communities, even places where people had never seen a stage performance before. For many, the circus was the single most exciting cultural event of the year. And you know what? I get that. If you live in like Dust Bowl ass era America and you're like gonna die because you don't have chapstick and water, and then like a
Yeah.
fucking elephant comes down the
Ha-
street.
have you ever been to a circus?
I don't think so.
I definitely never have. What was your first? Do you want to know what my first knowledge of the circus probably was? Was
Hmm.
either Dumbo, so it was
Mhm.
negative,
Yeah.
or We're Back with Professor fucking Screw Eye, the dinosaur cartoon. Also painted circuses in a bad light. I've never seen circus painted in a good light.
Well, because it's not. But I I remember when I moved here and there were protests constantly because Ringling Brothers was trying to do the circus at the Delta Center, and it was like this and just insanity. And they were here, but it was heavily protested. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that shit still exists. But
Yeah.
anyway, thankful to my parents for not taking me to the circus. By the mid 19th century, the railroad supercharged this mobility. Entire circuses could now move by train, hundreds of workers, wagons, animals, and performers traveling thousands of miles like a city on wheels.
Yeah, that's how Indiana Jones got the scar on his lip.
Was from a circus train?
Yeah, in the Last Crusade, he is trying to escape from bandits on the train in the opening sequence, and he finds a whip in the lion cart, and he goes to
Oh,
whip to keep the lion away, and he does it bad, and it goes across his lip.
and that he deserved that. So,
Also, the tent thing, now I get it, because the tents were before the trains, because I was like, they could just go via train. I'm picking
yeah,
up now. I didn't read ahead on
there
this
you
one.
go. There you go. Timelines,
Yeah,
industrial progression.
true.
Imagine
Exists.
the spectacle of God, I'm illiterate too, of waking up in a quiet rural town and suddenly seeing elephants parading down Main Street. I would actually be terrified. If I was like a fucking 1800s peasant boy and I woke up to fucking drums and trumpets and a fucking
Yeah.
elephant, and they don't know what an elephant is, probably. They don't have fucking TV.
I don't know what people knew then.
Probably not that. I would be like, we've been invaded by
Mid 19th
aliens.
century, they definitely didn't have TVs.
This is 1800s.
Yeah. So
1830s.
You just made the joke of TVs. They definitely did not have
Yeah,
TVs.
they didn't have TVs, so they wouldn't know. And they didn't have education. They couldn't read, so they wouldn't know what a fucking elephant is. That
I
would
assume
scare the
also,
fuck out of me.
Yeah, if you're just farming and dying.
Hmm. I wouldn't be excited. I would be terrified. So the circus didn't just entertain people, it connected them to the wider world. Exotic animals, music, and theater all right there in their backyard. This is where P.T. Barnum enters the story. Barnum wasn't a circus guy at first. He started with sideshows and curiosities, many of them exploitative, sensational, and cruel. In 1835, he bought the rights to exhibit Joyce Heath, an elderly enslaved Black woman he claimed was the 161-year-old George Washington's nurse. Barnum marketed her as a living relic of American history, and when she died, he staged a public autopsy and charged admission for people to watch her body be cut open. Yeah.
We're of the opinion, and I've known for a long time, that P.T. Barnum was a bastard.
Yeah, it was
So
a fucking cunt. It was grotesque, dehumanizing, and one of his most shameful acts, but it was also a blueprint for how he would build his empire: controversy, cruelty, exaggeration, and relentless marketing. From there, Barnum's American Museum in New York became the epicenter of spectacle. Among its most infamous attractions were the Fiji mermaid, which was a monkey torso sewn to a fishtail, which I think many people have probably seen.
yeah.
General Tom Thumb, a little person marketed as a miniature gentleman, and the conjoined twins Chang and Eng Bunker. These performers drew huge crowds, but they weren't just entertainment, they were the backbone of what became known as the Freak Show. The Freak Show was where Barnum's genius of Americans craving cruelty converged. Audiences would pay good money to gawk at people who looked different, whether due to disability, medical condition, or simply being from another culture. Barnum crafted elaborate backstories to heighten the mystery, often rooted in lies and racist stereotypes. People with albinism were billed as ghostly beings or missing links between humans and animals. Indigenous people, Africans and Asians, were marketed as savage tribesmen or wild men, presented as proof of colonial conquest and white superiority. Obese women were paraded as curiosities, their bodies marked as excessive or grotesque. Conjoined twins, giants, and people with dwarfism were cast as natural wonders, their lives reduced to exhibition. What Barnum was selling wasn't just difference, it was a form of fake science to market racism and colonial fantasy. The Freak Show reinforced ideas that non-white people, disabled people, and anyone outside the narrow norm were objects to be examined, controlled, and consumed by the public. Barnum's museum and circus played directly into that same logic. He controlled performers' images, invented fake origins, and pocketed most of their profits. For someone like Tom Thumb, the circus offered fame and fortune. He became internationally famous, even dining with royalty. But for many others, especially performers of color, their reality was far darker. They were stripped of their identity, renamed, dressed in costumes, and forced to play roles that exaggerated their difference. Their humanity was an afterthought to the spectacle.
You know,
Barnum's
I
what?
in
What?
sorry, in preparing for our panels, this is like a big thing that pops up in horror a lot. And there was a horror movie that I think was French. It was like Eyes Without a Face. And it kind of
Mhm.
talked about this concept where if you don't understand something, if you can like mask it out
Mhm.
of its humanity, it's a lot easier to dehumanize it. So a current example would be you can talk about genocide in Gaza or Gaza, but that's like a regional concept that as Americans, we haven't really seen genocide. Like we can understand what it is, but we don't see the terrors of that. So it's a lot easier for the media to just say Gaza, Palestinian, because that's the mask they're putting over the actual
Mhm.
corpses of children. Like, and that's why the Say Their Names movement was so important with Black Lives Matter, because if you start to turn people into concepts or ideas, then it's a lot easier to just market them however you choose in the media. So for him, the identity, the race thing is so easy because like the second you realize what he's doing to these poor children, it loses the commodity.
Mhm.
Also, I looked up Tom Thumb. Uh, he looks like just like a cute little boy. Like he was in this circus when he was young. Like there's definitely aged photos of him where he's older, but uh oh, that's so fucking sad. He just looks like a sweet little kid. I'll send you
Mhm.
a picture of him.
Yeah, I think um every all cultures do it, but it's really prominent in the United States to like if you remove identity, you can dehumanize things and um just remove like its autonomy from it. I don't mean to go on a vegan soapbox, but one of the most obvious forms of this is in what we call the meat that we eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called bacon and sausage. It's not called pig,
Yeah.
it's called hamburger and steak.
Mm-hmm.
It's not called
Mm-hmm.
cow, or cow meat. because you want to put the separation there to like dehumanize the autonomy and realness of what it is. And just
Yeah.
like if you put a bunch of people in fucking cages to be gawked at and pointed at, you're going to call them like wild people of the West Indies,
Yeah.
even though it's just fucking John down the street who has more melanin than you. And they enjoy it.
Have you seen the one where it was like the most ugly woman in the world? And it was just a mom who joined like a freak show so that she could feed her children. And it was talking about like the concept of how women will cut themselves open and bleed from their fucking soul,
Mm-hmm.
and how we will pay to see that. Like,
Yeah.
you can put money to human suffering
Mm-hmm.
because it helps us feel like we're other. And you
Mm-hmm.
can even with the homelessness problem, when you give them money, it helps alleviate some guilt and create you from the other. So it's not even necessarily something that you're doing out of spite. It's just like a human thing where we
Mm-hmm.
create this tribalism in our head, where if I can differentiate you from me, even if I just give you $1, my hands can be clean. It's
Yeah.
very bad.
Yeah. It's an interesting psychology of the brain. It's wild. So speaking of veganism, Barnum's exploitation didn't stop with people. He was just as ruthless with animals. His traveling circus had elephants, lions, camels, and bears, creatures ripped from the wild, shipped in brutal conditions, and forced into unnatural performances. Training was done with bullhooks, chains, and whips, breaking animals' spirit through fear and pain. His star attraction, Jumbo the elephant, purchased from the London Zoo in 1882, was paraded endlessly across America until his death in a train accident in 1885. True to Barnum's style, even Jumbo's death was monetized. His body was stuffed and exhibited. Nothing human or animal, even in death, was sacred if it could be turned into a show.
I hope the memory that P.T. Barnum has left on this earth creates some reality, because reality is infinite, where there is a universe where his life is fucking miserable.
Yeah, I'd like to think that there's a universe where elephants run the world and P.T. Barnum gets fucking stomped. But science can bring you back from the dead. So he gets stomped and then they bring him back to life and then they stomp him again. And it's just that repetitive cycle.
After like researching like or getting really into like the animal movement and stuff, or just after researching the Tesla episode on what Edison did to that poor elephant, the recurring elephant nightmares that I have probably has changed my psyche, where it's like so fucked up, but this like just
Yeah.
makes me so. Also like the personification of like my sister's favorite animal was elephant, so like then it's like it's like this
Yeah.
ping pong ball of trauma in my brain. And it's just so wild that like I don't know. I fucking hate him so bad. And I knew we were gonna have to talk about him. And I knew I was gonna be fucking upset. And now it's all coming to fruition.
I mean,
Go on, tell me more terrible things about this fucker.
here's the thing. Like, before we get back into P.T. Barnum, let me jump back on my vegan soapbox. Speaking of like how human psyche can like put space between things and like disconnect it. Obviously, elephant performers, quote unquote, was a big one because like everyone knew how smart elephants were and how
Yeah.
their like societal structures in nature mimic like matriarchies
Yeah.
and they mourn and they learn and they teach their young and
They hold a grudge.
yeah,
They'll
they
ruin
hold a
funerals.
grudge. Yep. And they're just beyond intelligent, comparable to like what we would call human intelligence and self-awareness. And yet they were, put on display, beaten, dragged, whatever. I also think about that with octopuses because like octopuses have been like and dolphins and fucking whales and they've been like shown to
Yeah.
be these unbelievably intelligent and empathetic and learned and like just creatures comparable to our own. And it's funny because even some of these animals will have more empathy than who we're most related to in like, primates and stuff.
Yeah.
And yet, some motherfuckers can't stop eating calamari. So it's very interesting to me. I just don't understand it. I can't have that type of cognitive dissonance, and it haunts me every day.
I had to go buy chicken for Bear because he was so sick, and it's rough. Like, because like being friends with you, I'm not vegan. I try to purchase things vegan. I don't try. If there's a vegan option that I can purchase, I will purchase that instead. And I don't eat meat anyway, but it's like with dairy stuff. Like I drink mocha mix and plant-based creamer and stuff. And then um it I don't know, man. I just don't understand how I people can live guilt-free because I am inundated with guilt and it probably gives me digestive issues.
Yeah, I can guarantee that. I feel that as well. I don't know. You know what I think it is sometimes? I'm not trying to suck my own dick here or yours, but there is a price to pay with being aware,
Yeah.
right?
Depression.
True. It's true.
Yeah.
When you're aware of like, the conditions in which factory farming take place, what that does to the body, and you're aware of the cycles of abuse and systems of white supremacy that have been baked into the society, and the boot of capitalism is on your throat. When you're aware of all of these things, it is truly enlightenment, but the price to pay is heavy as well. So
Yeah.
sometimes ignorance really is bliss, but I'm also very thankful to be aware. I am very thankful. One of the things I'm most proud of is my veganism, and I'm very thankful for it. And I know it's not for everyone because some of you are fucking pussies, but it's really fucking cool.
I wish that I wait for the day where it's less of there's like a less socioeconomic barrier to it too, because the vegan options for stuff are like so much more expensive in some of these cases.
Well, now with egg prices, it's honestly just becoming a toxic masculinity issue as the barrier to entry. But
yeah, I would agree with that for sure. But like mocha mix was $6.
dude, that's just what it is now.
I know.
Like, just at least that's a mocha mix with like the creamer in it, because like sometimes creamer alone, whether it's vegan or not, is like fucking
Yeah, but
$6.
I bought an almond milk pumpkin spice flavor and I was like, you can't see it, but I'm clapping with my fingers.
Yeah.
Or you can see it. You can't hear it. This is a sound-based platform that we're on.
I heard it
Thank you.
and saw it. So
I heard it in here.
yeah, everyone heard it in their heart.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, by 1871, Barnum was 60 years old and finally went all in on the circus. His quote, grand traveling museum, menagerie, caravan, and hippodrome, fuck you for that title, dude,
That's so dumb.
was marketed, of course, as the greatest show on earth. It had everything: acrobats, clowns, exotic animals, freak shows, and mile-long parades. He plastered towns with posters, staged free parades before the tents even went up, and pioneered the three-ring circus, an overwhelming experience designed to leave audiences overstimulated and in awe. That's how I know I've never been to a circus, because like that three ring just means like there's performers at every point, like within this in the circle, like within the ring, and it's meant to be like insane and over exaggerated, and like you have people flying through a trapeze from one side to the other, and then you have a fire juggler, and then you know what I mean, you've got a cat in the middle.
Literally dissected three-ring circus. I never dissected that, the etymology of what that would mean.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's what it means. And honestly, if I'm being so real, if I was like a patron of the circus back in the 1880s and I was like making 2 cents a day and I spent my fucking 2 cents to go to this, and there were performers in every fucking, I don't even know, in every circumference, in every millimeter there was a fucking performer, I would be pissed, because I'd be like, I can't watch all this. What? And then you're like, do I have to get up and move? Do I like, you know what I mean? I would be so fucking pissed. I'd be like, this is a shit show, actually. This is not
planned poorly.
Yeah, this is not the greatest show on earth. This is a shit show on earth, because what the fuck?
I'd be pissed if I was using my 2 cents a day to go watch animals be abused. The fuck?
Yeah, I mean that as well, but even if I was like animals don't get abused, they love this. I would be like this is fucking bullshit. I've
Yeah.
I've missed the fucking trapeze bitch every time because the lion jumps when she moves across, you know what I mean? Like I would be like this is fucking stupid.
It's
It's
an
like
assault of entertainment in quotes, and
Mhm.
I need things one at a time
Yeah.
in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
That's insane that it was all just like
Yeah. Just
blasted at all times.
yeah, it's
Wild.
I don't know how anyone had a good time there because I would be overwhelmed and upset. So
Well, that's what the opiate was for.
that's so true. But yeah, that's the whole point of it. It was to overstimulate and put people in awe. In 1881, Barnum partnered with James A. Bailey. That name strike a fucking bell.
The old Barnum and Bailey.
And together they built an empire. But at its core, that empire was built on using other living things, bodies, and lives. The poor, the disabled, the colonized, and the non-white were transformed into living commodities. Animals were tortured, workers were abused, and forced to live in grueling conditions with low pay to keep the machine running. Yet millions flocked to see it. The cruelty was not hidden, it was the main attraction, wrapped in glitter, banners, and the promise of wonder. Women had a particularly complicated place in the circus world. In the 19th century, most respectable, quote, ladies were expected to stay in the domestic sphere, wives, mothers, silent supporters of men. The cult of true womanhood demanded purity, obedience, and modesty. Jobs were limited, political rights denied, and independence rare. Yet under the big top, women performed death-defying stunts, trapeze acts, tightrope walking, horseback riding, and aerial acrobatics. They earned wages comparable to men in the field, traveled across the country, and built public careers at a time when women were expected to stay invisible. For many, the circus was a ticket to freedom. Famous figures like Leona Dare, a trapeze artist known for her aerial acts in the 1870s and 1880s, captivated audiences with her skill and fearlessness. Josephine DeMont Robinson, a star equestrian, became one of the first women to headline her own acts, commanding high pay and public attention. Yet this independence came with a cost. Their bodies were commodified, costumes sexualized, pose in poses designed to allure, and press agents were invited to invent dramatic backstories of a runaway heiress or rescued orphans to heighten public fascination. Independence was real, but exploitation was equally present. And this is actually so interesting to think about. Like, specifically the rescued orphans in the circus trope. That's fucking Robin, bitch. They were
Yeah.
pulling that shit. They were pulling Robin the Boy Wonder from fake PR from the Barnum and Bailey circus. Like, that's crazy. But
Yeah, I didn't even think about like what and like look at women like even this even is a thing today where women is like the sideshow acts or like the magician's assistants and things like that. The
mhm,
danger is when you get cut in half. Like
mhm.
I didn't even realize like yeah, this is just all women like exploitation of women, but also like the orphans and tropes like it,
Yeah, because women can't, especially women in the 1870s and 80s, couldn't come upon talent. They had to be like victimized in some way for them to have this opportunity. And it's an interesting like behind the veil story that they put up because like you can't have women thinking that they have talent and skill and poise and charisma, right?
mhm,
You have to give them some insane backstory to explain why she's allowed to be here,
mhm.
and why it's an exception for her. You're in like a fucking 50-piece corseted metal barred impossible to move and breathe and sit in outfit dress whatever, and she's in like a sparkly bedazzled onesie and it's okay for her and it's not for you, so there has to be like
Yeah.
this separation. um
Mhm.
and yeah, like it almost seemed that some of these women, especially like with Josephine DeMont Robinson, the more talented and famous she got, the more sexualized they forced her to be.
Yeah, it was interesting when you were saying that. I looked her up, and the sexualization back then was so very different. But it was like her skirt went to like her mid shin, and her arms
Yeah.
were exposed, and the
Yeah.
poses were very much the like ta-da pose, but that was like a sexual thing.
Yeah, it was like putting themselves on presentation. But
Mhm.
like when she first started, she was in like full blown like 1880s attire of a traditional like woman in the home. But
Yeah,
by the end of it, she's in a onesie.
yeah.
Like
It's
even her in the skirt, even in the like knee-high skirt or like ballerina tutu, that was like the modesty, quote unquote, for flyers, right?
and then yeah, it's like we'll give you a little, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can get the rest of the show.
Yeah, but when you actually went and saw her, and you can see some photos of it, she's in a unitard or she's in like colored tights and like little tiny Peter Pan shorts type of thing. And yeah, it was that's just, how they did it, how they do it. Because cause she was an equestrian rider, so she was even sometimes, which was also against the era, seen in like men's pants and a men's blouse,
Mhm.
so that she could like she was a part of the like high flying suffragettes, so she like dressed in men's attire, but to get her own income, she had to rock the fucking dancer onesie, which again is in the grand scheme of things not a big deal, but back then it
Yeah,
was
it was a big deal.
she may as well have been like a midnight ballerina. So the circus mirrored the contradictions of the women's movement of the time. The suffrage movement was gaining momentum. Seneca Falls had happened in 1848, and activists like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were demanding the vote, labor reforms, and education rights. Circus women embodied this contradiction. They showed that women could be powerful, independent, and publicly visible, yet their freedom was manipulated and packaged for male consumption. Some performers even marched in suffrage parades. And the Barnum and Bailey Circus Women's Equal Rights Society, founded in 1912. And it gave performers a platform to advocate politically, blending spectacle with activism. The connection to Barnum's exploitation runs deep. Just as the freak show transformed marginalized people into commodities, women performers were often reduced to objects. Their skill, daring, and courage were real, but marketed in a system designed for profit and public prodding. Fame and independence existed side by side with moral scrutiny, sexualization, and the constant pressure to conform to audience fantasies. The circus offered liberation, but it was never on entirely their own terms.
Well, it seems like similar to what women in Hollywood experienced with Harvey Weinstein. Like, yeah, you can get fame and fortune, but like you're gonna have to sell your body and soul
Mhm.
to get it.
Oh, that's exactly it.
And if you're
And
not gonna play ball, then there's no avenue here for you.
yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me that like because all of the performers were abused physically, emotionally, and financially, it would not surprise me that if some of these female performers were sexually abused by like P.T. Barnum, because he's such a fucking dirtbag. He's like the definition of like a sleazy greaseball. So
Yeah.
that would not surprise me in the slightest bit. And of course, it wouldn't have been ever publicized. So by the 20th century, though, the circus faced real challenges. Cinema, radio, and television chipped away at its dominance. Public morality campaigns condemned it as corrupting. Labor conditions remained grueling, immigrant workers exploited, and animal acts faced growing scrutiny. Progressive era reformers pushed for better labor conditions for traveling workers. In the 1960s and 70s, the animal rights movement gained traction, exposing the cruelty behind bullhooks, whips, chains, and now electrocution tactics. Lawsuits and undercover footage forced Americans to confront the suffering that had been hidden. Governments responded. States began passing anti-cruelty statutes and travel restrictions on exotic animals. The Federal Animal Welfare Act of 1966 created minimum care standards for animals in exhibition, and later amendments tightened inspections, transportation rules, and penalties. Cities started banning wild animal acts outright. In the 2010s, New York City and Los Angeles passed ordinances against performing elephants, and whole countries, including much of Europe, had now outlawed traveling circuses with wild animals. Labor and child protection laws also reshaped the workforce, ending the most abusive hiring practices that had propped up the old model. By 2017, Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey, the self-entitled Greatest Show on Earth, closed after 146 years. Yay!
Yeah.
Its own managers admitted the dwindling ticket sales and the retirement of elephant acts had made the show unsustainable.
No, we have to be creative on our own.
Exactly, because modern circus art hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed. Companies such as Cirque du Soleil trade on athleticism, story, and stagecraft instead of freak shows or captive animals. Contemporary performers own more of their image and negotiate contracts. Animal performers are mostly gone. In other words, the circus is still with us, but the legal and cultural frameworks around it have flipped. What began as a free-for-all, human and animal exploitation is now one of the most heavily scrutinized forms of live entertainment. Modern laws on animal welfare, labor standards, and human rights didn't just end the old circus, they forced it to evolve into something closer to art than spectacle. The ring is still 42 feet across, but the world inside has changed. That's it.
I love that it's closed. I think I remember when it closed down and people were like, "Are you sad?" And I was like, "I've never been more happy, actually."
I don't remember that it closed, but I knew it went out of business because I do remember like once a year the Ringling Brothers trailers parking in front of the Delta Center.
Yep.
And this is when I lived downtown. And it
And
was like,
all the gas stations had fucking tickets for it.
yes. And it was like, bring in a Coke can and you can go to the
Yeah.
fucking circus. And it like shut down the street because they had to like, put the poor fucking animals there. So, rest in piss to P.T. Barnum. And honestly, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, I think hell is probably not hot enough. So
Yeah, fuck you. And fuck you, Jackman, for being in The Greatest Showman
yeah,
musical.
you fucking sellout
Piece
bitch.
of shit.
Yeah, so that's that. That's the circus. It sucks. It fucking sucks. And even if you were like, I don't give a shit about people or animals, even at its purest form, it was still fucking annoying and overwhelming and stupid. So
I think the last circus episode we did was like years ago, and we talked about this crazy circus fire.
yeah, because
That's all I know.
the
That's all I
earth was
remember.
the earth was trying to reclaim. It was trying to cleanse
Yeah.
of the fucking evil. You
And
know what
I've just never
actually
been a circus girly. I think the carnival kind of replaced the circus, but we're in terms of like traveling and games, but there's not performances. It's just you ride on their little metallic death traps and win
yeah,
asbestos filled stuffed animals. I
yeah.
guess goldfish are still fucked.
Yeah, goldfish are still fucked. And you want to know something crazy actually? I hope it's not this way, but I went to the fair in Long Island, New York, and they had fucking iguanas, okay? It wasn't fucking goldfish. You can win iguanas. And I won too. And their names were Iggy and Lizzie. And here's the thing. Iguanas are fucking evil. And there's no reason for a child. I think I was like 6 to have them. So I had them for like a few months and my mom had to like rehome them with some dude with a nipple
Oh,
piercing.
that's insane. Yeah, iguanas is crazy. My mean grandma had iguanas and she spent thousands of dollars on their setup and care alone.
Yeah, they're fucking mean. They deserve to be climbing a tree, not in your fucking living room. But I will also say that like P.T. Barnum tried to like claim like popcorn as like his invention and just as another like your colonial fucking colonizing piece of shit. Popcorn came from the Native Americans, you fucking fat bitch.
He's such a dumb asshole.
Like
what a piece of shit. Fuck
I
you.
know.
I wish he was still alive, just like fucking mace his ass. I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, I would cut open his stomach and I would keep enough organs in there
Is that Braveheart where they like cut him open and then they take his intestines out while he's still alive?
Yeah.
And a little bongo drum on his kidneys.
Yeah.
Bum, bum.
And
Yeah.
I would fill him with raw kernels and then I would slow roast him over a fire and they would all fly out as popcorn.
Put him in one of those like iron bowls that they put people in back in Greece and slow roast him. But instead of like the iron bowl, it's the little Fiji mermaid.
Yeah. God. The buying a woman to then have her autopsy a ticketed event. God. You can only hope he suffered. You can only hope that, like, how did he die? Was it
I'm
something
Googling
horrible?
it literally right now. How did P.T. Barnum die? He had a stroke
Not
at the age of 80.
See, 80? That's too
80.
old. That's too old to be that evil and alive.
How
But
did Bailey die? Of Barnum. And I don't care about how this random person died. How did Bailey die of Barnum and Bailey? Oh my God. What was James Bailey? Huh.
mhm. How'd he die?
I'm scrolling. I'm on Wikipedia. He died of erysipelas.
The fuck is that?
It's a relatively common bacterial infection of the superficial layer of the skin, upper dermis, extending to the superficial lymphatic vessels within the skin, characterized by raised, well-defined, tender, bright red flesh, typically of the face or legs, but which can occur anywhere on the skin. It is a form of cellulitis and is potentially dangerous.
He died of a rash.
Yep.
Oh my God. And this is why we have to support modern medicine. Because you
No,
can die
it
of a
isn't.
rash.
Because we want these people to die of rashes.
Okay.
Let the measles and mumps fucking take these non-vaxxing idiots.
Yeah, true.
Not those who are compromised and cannot take them. I will herd immunity for you. But the other ones.
Everyone else rot. Speaking of rotting, you can prevent yourself from rotting, and specifically us from rotting. And learn more about how to not rot on this week's Patreon because $1 gets you in. You can go to the link tree in all of our bios. We're at Go to Hell Podcast. I'm at Noelle Fain. That is at Sith Lard, and you can find a link in there, and it's to a link tree. You click into that. You can click to listen to the Patreon. It's literally just one single dollar. You can give us more if you want, if you're like, well off, but $1 gets you in. And we had a fun little episode today. We talk more about why we've been fucking MIA, and I hope you understand. We also talk about please understand. We also talk about RFK. So, and actually, you will learn something. You will learn how to get around current administration blockades preventing you from getting vaccines. So, and let us know if you need help with that. We'll reply to you. We'll let you know. In that link tree in our bios, you can also find a link to our merch. 100% of proceeds are donated. We have cool shit in there. We also have cool shit designed by Kelly Holloran or at Wildwood Owl on Etsy. You can check out her original art and the original art she creates for us. She's amazing. Shout out. She also missed her opportunity to see Hassan in Michigan when he was speaking at like the People for Palestine event. So now she knows what it feels to be like me and to miss him like a train in the night.
Yeah.
In that link tree, you can also find a link to what else do we have in there? Oh, our YouTube.
I think we're also on Amazon now.
Amazon? What does Amazon do?
I think we're on Amazon Podcast.
Ew, don't listen to that.
I was Googling, I needed our logo to do our FanX art. Yeah, we're on fucking Amazon Music.
Ew.
Look at this, sending you the link now.
I don't want to see it.
No, you gotta look.
I don't want
to. Look at it, Noelle.
Ew, that's sick. Oh my God. This is disgusting. Amazon podcast. Enough. Give it the fuck up. Give it up, Amazon, you fucking bitch ass Bezos. But you can find better links like to subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find a link to join our Discord server, and links to listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and not Amazon. So that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and give a hail to the stroke that killed P.T. Barnum.
Ooh, and I'm gonna give a hail to the rash that killed Bailey. I already forgot his first name.
James.
Was it James or Jonathan?
That was James A. Bailey.
What was Bailey's name of P.T. Barnum?
This is insane.
I have a TBI. I don't know what your thing is. James Bailey, you're right.
Yeah, so yeah,
Well, hail to the rash.
hail to the rash.
Killed him.
Big hail to that. Okay, well,
Let's get the fuck out of here.
yeah.
All right,
Okay,
bye.
bye.